WF representing Palace, so let's tell you about Palace. Rolling straight to the ceiling, crowns and crystals, top like journeys, dishing out malice. Hold up, South London's grandest, far from bandits. Anything earned for a goal of elevation, just passing the team over here might finish out bright future, we can't vanish. SE25 any day, that's sellers. Rev up the engines, no more reverse reactions, fan cams, bands on stream. Share up the team, support the dream team when eagles fly, make noise and scheme. Dare to dream or dream to dare, taking a step to become supreme.
Big up everyone and welcome to another episode of Transfer Weekly, and this is Transfer Weekly episode 7. Now granted, it's been a very slow news week with regards to transfers, mainly because of the massive news that we've been demoted to the Europa Conference League from the Europa League. But either way, we are going to take you through some players, some from previous rumours, there's some rumours about outgoings that I've been picking up this week, which I don't really believe in, but we're going to bring you that news either way. So yeah, look out here in the new home kit. I really like it. I know there's mixed views, but I really like it. But either way, we're going to get into it. And yeah, as always, up the Palace. Big up everyone, your boy Rich. This time outside trying to enjoy the weather. I'm here to speak to you about Josh Nichols. Now, you may be thinking, who on earth is Josh Nichols? Well, this has all developed because rumours are having it, as we reported last week as well, that Arsenal are looking to offer Josh Nichols as a make-weight in order to lower the fee they have to pay for Eberechi Eze. The recent reports we've had so far is that, look, we know that there's a £68 million release clause, which I'm sure we'll be happy to take 60 million up front and 8 million in add-ons. But that could also be split into maybe if it's a 45 for initial first payment, then additional payments plus the add-ons. However, Arsenal have inquired regarding doing a 20 plus 20 plus 20, which we've rejected. I think as a club, we're probably going to look to want as close to 45, 50 million up front within the 68 million pound release clause deal. So that's why Arsenal have said, you know what, we will offer you a promising prospect. Now, Josh Nichols is only 18 years old. He's featured a few times for Arsenal, but that was mainly at last season's pre-season. The youngster, who's a right back, comfortable on the ball. He's got a decent passing range as well. Quite good with both feet. Don't see him bombing up the field as much. Obviously, where we play with wing backs, that might be a factor that we may need to consider. And even with that, you know, not much footage on him actually crossing the ball in. He will find some good passes from the right-hand side to look for the striker who may be on the edge of the box, you know, and keeps it nice and simple. So, yeah, it seems like a tidy player. Defending 1v1 is actually probably his strongest attribute, I would say. You don't see him diving in, not rushing in. Takes his time, finds the right time to put a foot in, put a challenge in. And also because he delays so much, it allows other defenders or other midfielders to come and help support him in that 1v1 situation. Recovery pace seems to be decent. It seems like he's got a decent read in the game. Obviously he's still young, there's still lots to learn. There was a clip in pre-season where he's running towards the ball, the centre-back's running towards the ball, and he just gets in front of the centre-back, but that could have been a collision that could have been avoided, you know. But all in all, I don't see this happening regarding Josh Nichols. First thing first, like I said, we're probably looking at wing-backs, and obviously we've got this link to David Calabria on a free transfer. I know Fiorentina are looking to obviously hijack that move as well. So it's definitely an area that I don't think we're looking at per se. But you know what? Like if obviously if he comes in a sense where we've got a lot more money from the Eze deal, then so be it. But we're not going to be looking to getting Josh Nichols in just to be a mate weight so that Arsenal can pay a lesser fee. That will not happen on Steve Parish's books. So that is Josh Nichols for you guys, and yeah, let's get on to the next one.
Adam Wharton is a 21-year-old left-footed central midfielder / central defensive midfielder that is English and currently plays for Crystal Palace. He is an elite midfielder. We all know this. We are Crystal Palace fans, and he is absolutely outstanding. He can tackle, he can dribble, which is a little bit of an underrated part of his game, and also his passes. He can break the lines, he can hit the ball long, he can pick up the ball from the goalkeeper and dictate play. He's great at set pieces, not at attacking, but putting crosses in the box, doing what he needs to do, breaking lines. Absolutely incredible. Left and right foot, might I add. I'd actually go on record and say that I think he's probably the best passer, potentially the best passer in the whole Premier League right now that Kevin De Bruyne has left. Like, seriously, who can actually hold a candle to his passing ability? He is outrageous, and remember, he's only 21 years old. Contract does expire in 2029. This because when he signed for Crystal Palace in the 2024 January transfer window, he signed for 5 years, and from now he's still got another 3-4 years left on his contract, so we will be able to negotiate whatever price we want, as right now we have European football. Yes, it might be in the Conference League, but we might go back into the Europa League, but we do not need to sell. We can dictate whatever price we want right now, so we don't have to sell for anything under what we value him at. Last season, he had a chunk of games missing from injury. This is because he gained a groin injury, when he was training with the England team for the Euros. Yes, he didn't play much, but he still got a groin injury. Unfortunately, when he came back, we never operated on him straight away. We played him through his injury a little bit, but we came to our senses, we operated on him, and he came back just in time for the business end of the season, where we got our cup run flying, and you know what, he was pivotal in the run up to the cup final, and also in that cup final he was outstanding against Manchester City. We all know that Wharton is world class, but GB News has reported that Tottenham Hotspur are looking at a £175 million triple swoop for Mohamed Kudus, Morgan Gibbs-White and Adam Wharton. They've already got Mohamed Kudus from West Ham for £55 million. They pretty much had Morgan Gibbs-White, but Forest have said no, there's a secret release clause, you should have never have known about that. But Tottenham have bidded exactly what that secret release clause is, and also they have a situation where you can't go to the player, you have to go to the club before you can speak to the player. I could very well sit here and say, oh, you're not allowed to do that, that's awful, blah blah blah, but we did the exact same thing with Michael Olise, so I wouldn't really be going into too much detail about this, and the uproar about it is quite incredible from some of the Tottenham fans, but from my eyes, we did the exact same thing with Michael Olise. I think it's just a little bit of smart business, trying to make it as difficult as possible for players to get your best players, so I don't see what the problem is, but that still doesn't excuse Marinakis for doing what he did, trying to get us out of the Europa League, trying to do anything possible to try and benefit from themselves and to our detriment, basically. Tottenham Hotspur, they want Wharton to be that triple, the third and final piece to their jigsaw puzzle. However, in all honesty, with Wharton's age, with his contract, the position he plays, the fact that he's a first team starter in every single game for Crystal Palace, and that's what you need if you want to get into this World Cup squad, where in Europe we don't need to sell, and if we do sell, we're going to be looking for 100 million plus, like English tax, young, probably one of the brightest passers in the whole world right now. He's going to demand a premium, and I don't think Tottenham Hotspur are going to spend over £100 million. I've seen some people saying, oh, 50 is great business, 60s are pushing it a little bit, but no, seriously, we are going to want £100 million. This guy has got world-class acumen, and you know what? Not to be rude to Tottenham Hotspur, because they're a big club, great club, all that. However, I do think that Adam Wharton had that same level of ability, to potentially even more than Michael Olise. Whereas when Michael Olise was with us, we were all saying, as Crystal Palace fans, he's world class, he's amazing, but no one really believed us. But the second he went to Bayern Munich, everyone's saying he's the second best right winger in the world right now behind Salah. He's amazing. Bayern Munich turned him into a monster. No, Crystal Palace did that. And you know what? I think the exact same thing will happen with Adam Wharton. I think if one of those Real Madrid or Barcelona or Bayern Munich scouts are really on it, if they pick him up for 100 million, which is probably the going rate for someone like that, he will be the best defensive midfielder in the world without a doubt. If anything, when we was watching him at Crystal Palace, we saw Michael had an incredible ceiling, saying, look, he's a Ballon d'Or winner one day. Adam Wharton's got probably an even bigger ceiling. That's how good he is in his position. Adam Wharton to Tottenham Hotspur, do you think it will happen? Personally, I don't. But put in the comments below.
Yes, people, it's Nate here for Eagle Eyed Football to talk to you about Josh Champong, the defender who is linked with a loan move from Chelsea to Crystal Palace. And it looks like there are 3 things guaranteed in life: death, taxes, and Crystal Palace loaning players from Chelsea. Just as much as Arsenal love buying Chelsea players, we apparently love loaning Chelsea players. Now, don't get me wrong, Joshua Champong is a very promising young English centre-back who's got a lot of the attributes that we look for in young, hungry players. Do I necessarily believe this is likely to happen? In my opinion, it's possible, but it would very much depend on what kind of player we actually need to identify defensively, because obviously Chadi Riyad is coming off the back of an ACL injury, and he's going to be out for a good while before he's fully back. We do have the likes of Jefferson Lerma, who can deputise at centre-back if we need him, because obviously we've got Maximus Lacroix, Chris Richards there as well. We all know that Mark Gay's situation is more than likely that he will leave Crystal Palace before the end of the transfer window. But to talk back onto Joshua Champong, he is, I believe, 21 years of age. If I'm wrong, then by all means, please correct me in the comments. And there are a lot of Chelsea fans who would much rather see him stay in and around the first team at Chelsea to help with their squad depth as they approach Champions League football next season. Or was it Europa League football? No, sorry, it's Champions League football. Sorry, my apologies. So obviously Chelsea being in the Champions League next season will be massive for them. And Champong may fancy his chances to break into the Champions League squad or even the Premier League squad. But it appears Crystal Palace have earmarked him as a possible player to bring in to give us some defensive cover ahead of the upcoming season. Now, am I going to sit here and waffle on and pretend that I've studied him in depth? No, because that's not fair to you guys. You watch Transfer Weekly for us to give you our honest thoughts. But I will say this, from what I have looked into on Joshua Champong, I think there is very much a lot of attributes that he has to his game that can work in our favour if we were to try and bring him to the club. So, without trying to fill this video for the sake of filling the video with just, talking absolute nonsense, I'm going to cut it here, but I will say this. This is one deal that may or may not happen. It looks likely that Palace will go in for a defender, so I would imagine he may be high on that list behind the likes of Thiago Djaló and I think it's Pavlovic we were looking at before, but I think that was more hinging on us having Europa League football. And at the time of recording this, we've got Conference League football. So, yeah, that's great. Cheers, Texter. Nice one, mate. Could have resolved all this, but it is what it is. It's of our own making. Let's not pin the blame at anyone else but ourselves. Obviously, you guys have saw the stream we did for that. But needless to say, folks, that's where I'm going to cut it. Stay tuned for more on Transfer Weekly. And as always, thanks for watching and up the Palace. Eagles!
Hey everyone, I hope you're enjoying Transfer Weekly so far. Reminder again, if you haven't seen any of the other ones, please give them a watch. A really nice roundup of what's been happening in the transfer news. Obviously, I know there's been some other things going on. But anyways, I'm here to talk about Jean-Philippe Mateta. He is a man who is wanted. Is that really surprising? I don't think so. Since Glaston's come in, he's scored 30 goals. So since that Burnley game when we won 3-0, he scored 30 goals, which means that he is averaging at the moment a goal every 132 minutes, which for the ones who are good at maths, this is a goal on average less than 1.5 games, which is absolutely prolific. We've been screaming out for a striker like this for such a long time. It feels like a very long time since we've had a prolific goal scorer. Obviously, I know we had Benteke for a season, but besides that, I think you've got to go back to our Championship days for a prolific striker in the form of Glenn Murray. And the thing is with Mateta as well, not only does he score goals, but he also links up the play so well. He works in Glaston's system so well. He is able to occupy that back line to try and push them deeper and try and create some space in between the lines of pressure. And with that as well, he's also able to pick balls out of the air. He's able to hold up the play really well, as he did in the FA Cup final for a goal where he then laid it off to Daichi Kamada, received it back and then passed it out wide to Daniel Munoz, who obviously then crossed it in for Eberechieze. In addition to that, I think he's just an excellent personality to have around the club. I mean, some of the things that he's done and worn are pretty iconic. You know, from the boom sunglasses to obviously kicking the corner flags, to his moustache, to the I guess kind of helmet that he was wearing after his injury against Millwall. He's a fantastic personality to have. There have been stalls on transfer talks with him. Apparently he wants more money than we are willing to offer at the moment. That last report was from a while ago, so please bear that in mind, take that with a pinch of salt, because things may have changed. He was originally meant to finish his contract at the end of next season, but we as a club did decide to extend it for another year. There was a year extension clause, and we've decided to do that, I think initially as a way to protect his value. And now the club have got to weigh up whether the value is worth then having to look for another striker. Personally, I think the difficulties that we've had in finding strikers, I'd be inclined to keep him, to be honest, in spite of the fact that he has been linked away to clubs in Saudi, who obviously will be very likely to pay quite a large sum of money for him, I'd imagine, but there hasn't been any concrete bids or indications of what kind of sums of money we're talking about. He's also been linked away to AC Milan and also been linked with Man United as well. Again, how true those are, I'm not 100% sure. Would he fit in at those clubs? I mean, obviously in Saudi, he'll probably play very well. He's in the peak of his career. Personally, I can't see him going there. I think he's the kind of guy who probably want to play in Europe before he goes to gets that last, that last paycheck. Could he go off to Italy? He'd probably fit quite well in Italy. Would he go to United? Maybe not, based on the fact that they're not in Europe and obviously they're in a bit of a shambles at the moment. He would fit in the system there, no problem. But I can't see him leaving Palace this summer, personally. I think he wants to stay as well. It's not like he's pushing for a move away. He just simply wants more money. But anyways, that's the update on Jean-Philippe Mateta. Just to summarise, I'd like him to stay. He's been a very pivotal player for us, very important player for us. I think he could be tempted by a move away, but I think that's purely money talking. But I think the team that he would go to would need to be playing in a European competition. But anyways, thank you all very much for watching, and I hope you enjoy the rest of Transfer Weekly, and big up Rich. See you later.
So yeah, big up everyone for watching this episode of Transfer Weekly. Just share your thoughts in the comment section regarding the players that we've discussed, whether there'll be more incomings, whether there'll be more outgoings. But also we want to say that tomorrow we will go live because we are protesting this decision. There's a protest from Norwood Junction to the stadium, but we're going to be live streaming that as well as vlogging it as well. So make sure you tune in with us live tomorrow. For that, all I can say apart from that is listen, have a blessed week. Let us know if there's any other players that you'd like us to discuss in this transfer window for next week's episode. And as always, up the Palace. Yo!